Okay, we have received a couple of questions more, which we will try to answer shortly, and then we see if any more questions come in, we can gather them and answer them collectively after the event. So the first question from Mohammed Yassin: why is there no integration with ASRA 5590.1 and 62.1?
Well, this is Jaap. Perhaps I could answer this question. Well, there is some activity in the work presented by Bjarne Olesen with taking in account what is written in Standard 55 and in also some contact with Standard 62. About Standard 90.1, there is a liaison with this committee, but as long as the actual standard is more prescriptive, there is not very logical to find a clear connection. But we are in contact with them, and we try to integrate their expertise as much as possible. This is my answer. Very good.
The next question from Sven Armstrong: will standards 15241, 2 and 3 provide a method for calculating the renewable energy contribution from free cooling?
Yes, this is Gerhard Zweifel speaking. Well, I showed two places where we are trying by these standards to cover free cooling, whatever is meant by that. I mean, the term can be interpreted differently. One thing is ventilative cooling. I showed that we will, this actually involves quite heavy interaction between different standards from different modules, but we will show the method, how the standards have to interact to consider that in the technical report 215 to 43, or the revision of that standard. The other point is you can also understand free cooling by what I showed in the cooling generation standard by bypassing the chiller and just use the heat rejection device, and that's considered in the cooling generation standard. I don't know whether still something else is meant by free cooling.
I think it's clear, Gerhard. Thank you very much. The following two questions, the first one is addressed both to Dan and Johan, and it's raised by John Woolett. In France, I have heard that the building code is trying to implement a type of building control system certification similar to the certification that Eurovent offers, but it is required in the building regulations. What is your view on this?
It's Dan speaking. What I may say about
Excuse me, can I ask anyone that is speaking to speak closer to the microphone and a little bit louder so that we can clearly hear you? Thank you.
Thank you. I will try to clarify. Of course, building automation control will respect his scope. In another term, the certification that we do is a certification for the controllers, as I have tried to explain in one of the graphs. It's not a French certification, it's a European one, and that cover what we call it the control accuracy. It's the ability of the control to keep the set point as close as possible. That is what we do. That it's, by the way, it's handled by our European association OIBAC and supported by our association in France. That I don't know really what really means Eurovent offer, but this certification, it's true. In the regulations are included in the RT 2012, who in fact is the regulation for the control. That is the answer of the first question. The work item about the inspection. The scope of this inspection is no more nor less that the functions described in the standard 15232 are clarified, confronted with the reality of the project. Don't forget that Article 8 are applied for the existing building and if it's possible and economical feasible for the new buildings. That it's, in my memory, exactly the definition of Article 8. So in another terms, the inspection of the existing buildings described in Article 14, 15, and 16 become an issue. What you'll do here is no more no less that under the project, we look at very clearly if the control is used and which kind of the functions are in implemented in the real project. Afterwards, we'll compare to the classes of the control or the type of the control, and after all that, we can imagine a program that can improve the comfort, as I have said, and the reduce of energy consumption. I think that is the answer for the building automation control. Of course, we discussed between us also the inspections who are done for the discipline, because for the services, because the building automation control look at overall. So in another term, we have some key indicators concerning the heating, the cooling, the ventilation, and so on.
Thank you, Dan. Can I ask Johan whether you have something to add to the first question regarding the example of France?
Johan has nothing to add. It's too far from. I'm sorry.
All right, then we move on to, I think we have one last question, but give me a second. My computer is not working with me. I believe the last question is for Sohail. Alexander, maybe you can read it because my computer has stopped working with me. Here it is. Here we are. What about the automatic control of the color of light and the impact on the energy performance? Warm light gives the perception of a warmer environment. This is the question.
Yes, that's a very good question, and to be honest, yes, you have to know that for the time being, within the lighting design, the color temperature is not an issue. So, and in another way, it might be an issue if you just take the effect of light on human beings. That means that we know that if you have a light with a color temperature around 4,500 Kelvin, then it is just has a relaxation effect. And if you have a light which has a high color temperature, then it is something that gives you also some motivation to work or to do. And so this has to be taken into consideration. But on the other hand, when we do this color or light color control, we will do it with LEDs. And with LEDs, the color temperature has not such an effect on the amount of energy used. So in my opinion, for the time being, this will not really have an effect on the energy calculation.
Yeah, this is Bjarne. Just one comment is there may be a first impression when you go into a room that either have blue light or red light, that it feels a little cooler, warmer, but that's just the first impression. You will not, by the light, be able to change people's perception of the temperature. So it's not like you can lower the temperature if you have a warm light. So it will have no influence on the energy performance related to the required temperature.